Hi folks, welcome to Time to Talk with Ross McCarthy. I invited Ross back for another chat because we had such good fun last time. He's going to end up being a regular, I think. This time we talked about fears, phobias and anxiety. The plan was to talk about separation anxiety and fears and phobias in dogs, and we spent a lot of time talking about our side of the lead and anxieties that we feel. Which quite often cause a lot of the issues that we have with our dogs. So hopefully you will enjoy it as much as we did and that you find it interesting. So get yourself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and settle back and enjoy Time to Talk with Ross McCarthy. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye-bye. Hi folks, back again with the lovely Ross McCarthy, and we're going to talk about, today we're talking about fears and phobias and anxiety, allegedly, although no doubt we'll start there and end up somewhere else completely. How are you doing, Ross?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, this is becoming a regular occurrence, isn't it?
Yes, good. It's good. It takes me back, actually. We were talking just before we started recording about teaching again together,
Yeah.
which is really exciting.
Yeah, very cool.
It is. I've had lots of people asking, actually.
Yeah, no, I think it's really sweet, actually. It's nice how well received the previous podcast has been, isn't it?
I know. And yeah, somebody said, they thought it was hysterical. So it'll probably be really boring today.
Well, I hope they're laughing with us.
I think they were laughing with us and not at us, although who knows,
No, never mind.
How's lockdown going?
Yeah, all right, actually. It's better now. I mean, like we said before, I did my first chat with you in week 1, didn't I? And that was really quite scary and horrible enough, but now I think things are relaxing in London. Things are a little bit easier. People are a little bit more chilled, and lots more going on, really. So yeah, it's still in lockdown, still not doing a great deal, but the light at the end of the tunnel, I think. What's it like up there?
We're still in lockdown. We're still. It's the 17th of June, and we're waiting to find out what the next stage is tomorrow on Thursday. So we've had the garden centres open for 2 weeks, I think it is, or coming up to 3 weeks. We haven't got any of the little shops open. We've only just got the takeaways open.
Yeah, we've been open for a while down here, but there are people, there are extremes of people, aren't there? There are some people that are still not leaving the house. There are others. I mean, I drove down through Ealing Broadway, my local kind of town-ish bit, and I didn't observe a great deal of social distancing going on down there, but no, not a great deal. But
because you guys are back at training now, aren't you? We did. But you went back and did some group training, didn't you?
Yeah, with this, we meet in a group of 6, and just in a field and do some training with the dogs, which is really nice. Actually, it's nice for the dogs because they haven't done over the last 3 months. They've had their sort of regular walks and stuff, but they haven't had anything like the normal excursions that they have. So they haven't been to work with me. They haven't, we haven't been competing. We haven't been out training. So we haven't been in the car very much. So yeah, it's nice. It was nice to take them out, go for a different walk in a different location and stuff. So yeah, good for them.
Brilliant. I'm really sorry. I've got to ask. You've got an Earth behind you orbiting.
Yes.
Your left shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh my God! What is that? Is it plugged in? Is it?
No, it's a globe, and no, the light. When it's light, it spins, and when it's dark, it doesn't.
So solar, kind of solar powered, almost.
Yeah, I don't really know how it works. I think it's kind of like balance and balance and light. It doesn't do it in the dark. So yeah, no, it's really cool. It's cool, isn't it?
It's really cool. I thought I saw it move, and then I went, "Oh my God, that's Australia! It's a globe." I didn't see Britain. I just saw Australia going past, and I thought, "Oh my God, I have to ask you about that. It's amazing."
You'll see it again in a minute.
It is so distracted. I might have to ask you to move it because I can go Oh yeah, there's
Yeah,
Australia.
where are we now?
There's Mexico and
South Africa. Oh,
what?
God. We're in South Africa at the moment. If only.
That is really distracting. That
We
is,
need to move it.
yeah. Otherwise, I'll not talk to you. I'll just watch that the whole time. I'll just completely blank you. A bit more, bit more.
You still see it?
Take it out a bit more. Yep, I can see you coming. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, gone.
Distracting. What were you
Little things.
saying? I was hypnotised by the globe.
Oh, God. Good to know, handy. I might have to use that in the future with people.
Yeah, take it with you. Get them to, pay attention. Pay attention. Train your dog.
Yeah. Yeah, look into the globe. Yeah.
Yes. So when we were talking the other day, we thought it'd be good to do a little chat on the differences between phobias, fears, and anxiety.
Yeah.
And when I was thinking about it, I thought, the way people are feeling at the minute, a lot of people are getting really anxious about going out again, not just their dogs, but like from the human side of the lead as well. The people are getting, it's been a long time since people have been out, and they're getting a bit anxious and a bit fearful about going out as well.
Well, I think I was talking to someone, a psychologist, I think, the other day, and he was saying that because we've had so many messages, right, since lockdown, stay at home, stay safe, don't go out, only go out if it's essential. And those messages that are constantly drummed into us, at home we're safe, anywhere else we're not. And and every time, if you put the TV on, in the corner of the TV was a message saying stay home. So this message has just been drilled into us for months. And some people are really going to find it very, very difficult to get back out through that sort of psychological kind of imprint. And also that, the idea that actually going out, you may well catch something, and nobody wants that. So there's lots of different reasons. And I think also, as I said, I drove down Ealing Broadway the other day, partly just to have a little look, because I was interested to see once the smaller shops opened. And I'd looked around. I thought, no, I do not want to come here. The amount of people, because I've been around, one other person, let alone, crowds. And actually, it's a bit scary because you're not used to it, are you? It's like, oh God.
It's like that, isn't it? I can remember when we come back from New Zealand, and what we would have classed as like a dirt track, they would have classed as a B road, and what we classed as a B road was very much an A road. And I can remember we come back and we went to Swindon, of all places, and I just felt really hemmed in and quite claustrophobic with all of the crowds, and it was just, oh my God, there's just so many people on the Saturday going down the high street.
Yeah.
And it was really unnerving. And I can remember when we used to go down to London, I'm saying down there, but when I lived in Marlborough, and we used to go to London for the Cork meetings, and I can remember meeting Charlie in London. Me and Kenny went through and met Charlie there, and he was just like a fish out of water because of the crowds. He came from a really wide open area where there was very few people to a massive amount of crowds, and it's really disconcerting. It's really frightening when there's no pandemic.
Yeah.
And so now people are just like, you don't know who's got it and who hasn't got it. You don't know if you've got it. You don't know if you're a carrier, do you?
No, exactly. I had a horrible experience like that just before lockdown. I went to, because it was just after Crufts and stuff. It was like the week after we came back.
Oh God, okay.
And I went to wait. I didn't have any eggs, so I went to my local Waitrose to pick up some eggs. Completely oblivious before I got there to the panic buying and everything. And I got it, and I was like, oh my God. I've never ever seen anything like it, ever, anywhere. The crowds of people in Waitrose, there were queues from the till right the way back to the store, people wearing masks. It was horrible, horrible experience. Yeah. So I haven't been to a supermarket since.
No, I haven't been. We went to a supermarket the night we went into lockdown. We were driving back from somewhere when the announcement came out, and we're driving past Tesco's, And Kenny said, well, you nip in. Like, yeah, that was the last time we've been to a supermarket. Callum's done it all for us. We've been really lucky. We've had to do anything.
No, I try to just use my local little shops and get what I can. And if I can't get what I want, then don't have it.
Yeah, we've got some really good farm shops. But yeah, I mean, anxiety is a terrible thing anyway. But at the minute, it's much worse because we have to go out, and with dogs are picking up on it. But before we do, I'm just going to say something. I'm going to get my tongue really tied for a change. I was talking to the guys the other day about different experiments. And have you heard of Schrodinger's cat?
I didn't even... What?
Schrodinger's cat. I know I'm pronouncing.
Oh, Schrodinger's cat.
Schrodinger's cat. Have you heard of it? Okay,
no,
so it's really good, and this is I've put it up on Facebook before, which is on Schrodinger's virus. The physicists are going to be shouting at me now. Learn how to pronounce it. Schrodinger's virus is what they're calling it, after Schrodinger's cat, and it's a quantum physics thought experiment. Okay, you'll get it in a sec. You'll know what I'm on in a sec. So what they do,
I think I'm following.
So it was a thought experiment. They didn't actually do it. They just thought about it. And they put the thought was you put the cat in a box with some poison and a hammer, and you bust the bottle of poison, and the cat will either be dead or alive. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Either going to die or it's not going to die. But you don't know until you open the box whether the cat is dead or alive.
Yeah.
Yeah? So therefore it's dead and alive. Boom. Okay, so this is the experiment. It's really good. So the whole thing about Schrodinger's virus is you don't know if you've got it. You might have it or you might not have it.
Yes.
You only know you have it when you've been tested.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just think it's a really, really good analogy of what we're going through at the minute. We're going out and we've got absolutely no idea who's got the virus, who hasn't got the virus.
No, you don't know.
Virus, or we're a carrier.
No, it's really weird. And the thing is, you see stats on the news and things about, how many deaths there are and everything else. And then yesterday they were saying there's like 6 in, I don't know whether it's 6 in 1,000 or 6 in 10,000 that have the virus. And then you think, well, actually, why are we all sitting in our houses then, if that's the statistic? So it's all I find it all very confusing, very conflicting. Don't quite know what to do for the best, do you? I think just stay at home. Stay at home. You can't go wrong. Yeah.
Stay at home, do everything online.
Yeah.
Catch up with Netflix.
Yeah, no, exactly. But no, talking about the anxiety, I see, like I said, there's sort of 2 types of people that live local to me. Some of them, they just ignore you. Ignore the social distance, they just come straight the way past you on the path they're going on. And others would rather run in front of a bus than walk past you. And you don't know, but from, the dog's perspective, having all of those people from, normally, to be honest, as a Rottweiler owner, lots of people would rather jump under a bus than walk past me when I'm walking the dogs. But, normally people walk past, and now people are walking past and creating kind of suspicion in the dog because they're not normal, because they're waiting, they're sort of hiding in, gateways, they're standing behind cars and then, stepping out when you've passed and things. So it's all very different from the dog's perspective, and not to mention the fact that people have all sorts of different face coverings and they just look completely bizarre, don't they, from a dog's point of view.
They do, and sorry, I'm just shutting down my machine. It just went bing bong now, just make sure it doesn't go bing bong again. It is, and you know what it's like when we're doing the testing with the dogs, when we're doing the temperament testing, and you walk with a funny gait, so you look to see what's going to trigger the dog, don't you? So you kind of drag a foot or make a squeaking noise with your shoe, or walk a bit stiffly, or avert your gaze, and I've had a twitch there. Avert your gaze and move strangely, don't you? And then that sees if it's going to trigger an aggression reaction in the dog. And now pretty much everybody you come across is acting really shifty when they see you. There's no eye contact. People are moving away, or they're turning away at the last minute like this and doing very quick, very jerky
Yes, they don't know which way to go. They're kind of, shall I go this way, and shall I duck that way and get out of the way? And yeah, like something when we're doing sort of bite work with dogs to agitate them, we do exactly those things that people are doing now when they're walking past you in the street. So
yeah, they kind of come up to you and then jump back and shuffle and scuff the gravel with their feet and all the things that excite a dog and make them want to go into the predatory mode.
I know. I was out walking yesterday morning, and there's a guy in the park, because people are straight. I mean, a lot of people don't wear face covers going into the shop, and then you see people in the park or in a car on their own, they've got masks on. This guy in the park, he wears a black scarf right over his face. You can only see his eyes. He's got his hood up and he's got gloves on. And he started walking towards me, and I thought, don't you come walking towards me with that on your face. It's really frightening for me, because you don't know who it is or whatever. And I thought, don't come and, aggravate the dogs being, looking like that.
No, it's, I find it really strange because I've started using Royal Mail again, but I was using my Hermes, and we were dropping everything off around at the garage. And normally when you go in the garage, it says, take off sunglasses, take off helmets, take off hats, no face coverings.
Yeah.
It just feels wrong going into a garage. Into a garage forecourt with something covering your face. It just feels so wrong. I've just been drummed into all of the years, you have no face coverings when you go into a garage.
No, it's really weird. I mean, when this thing first started, and of course we didn't know very much about it at all, did we? And it was, we weren't covering our faces because it doesn't make a difference, then we should, whatever. And so probably the second week in, I started wearing a scarf when I went to the shop, like a winter scarf. And it's, 30 degrees here, and I've got my winter scarf on around my face. And it's really uncomfortable because you feel like you're going to rob the place, don't you? You know what I mean? You go in, you've got your face covered. And and all that, like that nice communication that we have with other people, like smiling, and you can't see any of that. If you've got half of your face covered, someone can be smiling at you. You might see a little wrinkle in their eyes or whatever. But
unless you've got these cheeks.
Unless you've got these wrinkles around your eyes, they make it work.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because we humans as a species have I wouldn't say evolved, but we've developed over the years not to trust, or rather to ignore, body language in favour of the spoken word, because we do it when we're teaching, we're teaching behaviourists. It's like we have to go with the spoken word and not the body language, because to ignore the body language is dishonouring the person. And so, if you came up to me and you went, how you doing this? And I was sitting there scowling like this, and you said, I'm fine. You wouldn't say, no, you're not. Look at the state. You look, you're all closed, and your body language, and you're frowning, and so we have to go, okay, she said she's fine, I've got to take it. Because when you're dealing with strangers, we have to go with what they tell us and their facial expression. And if you take that away, and then the voice is muffled as well, it just completely throws our communication system, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really is quite strange, because you almost feel quite offended by people wearing face coverings. Do you know what I mean? And of course, it's not offensive. It's for safety, and it's it's all our personal choice at the moment what we do. But you feel really quite. Well, I do. I just think, I don't know. I find it quite strange, I suppose.
But it's how we're brought up, isn't it? It's like you'll be talking like this, and your mum will say, "Take your hand away from your mouth. I can't see what you're saying," or it's really rude to cover your mouth when you're talking because you're withholding.
Yeah.
It's that withholding, so people can't see if you're telling the truth or not. But it's a whole withholding, isn't it? And hiding, and like when we're telling somebody secrets, we hide behind.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Hide behind a hand when we're doing it, don't we? And so the whole covert communication, really, and it just, I think that alone really unsettles people and makes people a bit anxious, that, oh my God, they're talking about me behind that mask,
Yes, exactly.
To themselves, or they're talking about me to themselves in behind the mask,
Yeah, turning their nose up at you,
It is funny. I mean, you think the amount of stress flying around in people's brains at the minute.
I know. Yeah, I think really it's so stressful. I don't even think that as individuals we realised how strict, because it's such a massive life change, isn't it? So I think, I don't think people quite realise. Obviously, some people have been affected more than others. Some people's lives have remained relatively consistent to how it was prior to lockdown. They're still working from home. They're still earning the money that they earned before. They've, still got their kids mucking about and all the rest of it. And other people, their lives have been severely affected. So it affects everybody differently, doesn't it? But I think that the stress and the worry and the general anxiety about everything, about money, about going out, about the long term, and where we're going to be in a week, where we're going to be in 6 months. It's all very frightening.
There's just no end and no plan to the end, and then we know that when we do get to the end, it could come back straight away. I think it's the all uncertain, isn't it? It's the uncertainty that's unsettling.
Yes, there's no sort of fun, can we go and hug our friends at Christmas, or our parents or whatever? Can we be able to hug them at Christmas or spend the day with them at Christmas? We don't know, do we? So
No.
it's all, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. We've just had, we have some dog training workshops in September. And as you know, that May was cancelled. And then yesterday the Kennel Club announced that they're closed until October. So we're not able to run our workshops either now.
I don't know what's happening with mine. I mean, I moved mine from May, and then I did 2 days of it online. I did what I could online, and then we rescheduled to the last weekend in August. But it depends if the hotels are open, and I mean, there's 12 people, so I might have to run it over 2 or 3 groups. I've got, again, it's as trainers, it's as tutors, it's really difficult trying to plan what you're doing, when, how you're going to do it, if the venues are going to be open, if the venues aren't going to be open.
I know, and it's going to be really difficult as well, depending on where we're at when workshops take place. Then we're responsible, or you're responsible for creating the social distance and making sure that everybody adheres to whatever guidelines we're supposed to be adhering to at that time. That's an additional kind of consideration, isn't it? Whether when you're laying out your classroom and things, is there enough room to have 12 people 2 meters apart? What happens in the event of an evacuation? Like normally when we start a workshop, we say in the event of a fire, if there's an alarm, this is what you do. Now you have to do this, and you stay 2 meters apart, and I mean, there's lots of different issues to consider that we probably haven't even realised yet. Yeah.
Have you done your COVID training for trainers?
No, I haven't. Have you?
No, but I think I will now after this conversation.
Yeah, I might have a look at it.
I know the guys have, so I'll send you a link.
Yeah, I did see it on social media and stuff the other day, but I just thought, well, I'm not sure I need a certificate to. I mean, I watched the news.
Common sense.
This is what you're supposed to do. You can have 5 other people in your garden, and at a social distance, and blah blah. So, yeah, we can. I don't know about you. Can you not? Or you can have 1 person. Oh no, we can have
2 now from the same family. 2 people from the same family only. So, like, I could have, if my mum and dad were alive, I could have my mum and dad here, but that would be it. And then I couldn't have, like, my mum and dad today, and then this morning, and then friends this afternoon. It's like 1 family at a time on 1 day, 2 people.
Yeah. Now, we can have a maximum of 6. So if you're a family of 4, then you can have 2 people come into your garden. If there's 2 of you, then obviously you can have 4 people come and sit in your garden. But again, it's maintaining social distance. And the rules about going to the toilet and things are just ridiculous. It makes you not want to bother to go to anybody's garden. The disinfecting the toilet and all the rest of it. Should they dare to need a wee when they're with you? It's all quite ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's all mad. It's all mad.
I mean, no, go. I was just going to say. I mean, this has nothing to do with dogs. But I was just going to say, they were talking the other day about having barbecues. Because you can have a barbecue in your garden with 6 people. But you're not allowed to share any kind of cutlery or receptacles or tea. I mean, you've got to take your own glass, and you just think, well, why not just stay at home then? Because I mean, you could take your own glass and your own cutlery. It's all just ridiculous, isn't it? So.
You see, the thing that I find really bizarre is, they're recommending that you clean your parcels when they arrive, or you don't touch them for so many hours or so many days. I think there's 2 days or something. And so you get the parcel and you spray it and you wipe it, and then you go and get a Starbucks drive-through. You've just got it, you know. It's like, how does that work?
I know. I went to Starbucks drive-through when it opened. Met my dad, and took my own little cup and then just took the lid off, poured the Starbucks into my mug and whatever. Yeah.
It's funny, but then you would probably be really careful if somebody dropped a parcel through your door.
Yeah, well, I get them in with my feet. I sort of bring them in with my feet, leave it in the hallway.
Give them a spray.
Yeah, if it's really exciting, I'll spray it and then open it. If it's not exciting, then I'll leave it for like 72 hours sitting by the front door.
It's funny, but then you would be taking the coffee cup from the guy in Starbucks.
No, I know. I've taken my Lucillin and sprayed my hands, and I know.
Yeah, I've got my Lucillin up here as well.
Yeah, no, it's really handy. I keep my Lucillin in the car, and I've relaxed a bit. I mean, initially I was going shopping, and I was coming in, and I washed my hands, and I washed my shopping, and I washed my hands again. I still wash my hands, and I still wash my shopping, but I'm not quite as crazy about it.
Sorry, I'm just having a spray. I've got these sprays from, I'm going to do a shout out actually for Terry on Anora candles. Oh my goodness. These are amazing, Anora.
What is it, just an air scent?
This is an air scent, and they do amazing candles. I'll send some down to you. That's the sherbet lemon.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing. And the other one that I really like, the one is peppermint candy cane. And it gives you a real boost of energy. That peppermint just like goes straight into your olfactory, and you're like, way, and it just wakes you up and gives you a massive buzz of energy. The dogs hate it. I love it.
I'll keep that in the morning. I'll keep it next to the bed.
I do. When I come into work, I spray the candy cane, and then in the kitchen I've got ginger and lemongrass, which again is a real energy boost.
That's nice. It's really fresh, isn't it?
Oh,
fresh.
It's lovely. And so I sit and do my to-do list in the morning with a spray of lemon and lemongrass and ginger and lemongrass. Anyway, talking about anxiety, we were talking about people. What about dogs? So when we're anxious, it goes straight down the lead to our dogs. And so if we're faltering with our energy when we go out of the door, the dogs are going to pick up on that. Yeah.
I've seen a few dogs lately that have really altered their behaviour towards people and other dogs. Not like perfectly normal tempered dogs that have had a complete 180, but dogs that were okay and could accept people and could tolerate other dogs and things. Those
dogs, confident of dogs.
Yeah, the ones that were sort of I suppose on the edge anyway, but were coping with life. Then I've seen 3 or 4 that have just that are aggressive to people and dogs, and I suspect it's because of these changes to the way that we behave. We're not having we're not allowed to have people in our homes, so dogs are not having that kind of social interaction that they might normally have. They're not having that social interaction in the street. I mean, people here now are stroking each other's dogs, but for a while we were not doing any of that stuff because in case they were carriers and whatever. So very strange. So lots of dogs have not coped very well. And of course, as you said, the anxiety is not just when you're out and about, is it? It's also, if you're in the house, because you're in the house 24/7 now with the dog, and the anxieties that we feel about the array of issues that we do have to worry about, the dogs pick up on all of that stuff as well, don't they?
They do. It's amazing. I mean, Spud has always been a pain in the butt when people come to the door. He's just being a dog really, but he's got this really, really high-pitched voice.
Yeah.
Really high-pitched voice. And bark rather. And so he'll bark, but what's happening now is because whereas before, the postman would knock and give you the parcels, now they're kind of knocking and shuffling away or knocking and backing off. And then you have to go down a couple of stairs. So to come in our house, our bungalow's kind of sunk. It's on a hill, and so you come down a few stairs, and so you can, when you look out onto the street, they're not. The street's higher than us. Does that make sense? So you're coming down the stairs to come into us, and so what happens is the guys are coming in to deliver. knocking on the door, leaving the parcel, and then standing up and kind of looking to make sure I can get it. So the dogs can see these people peering with masks on and going berserk. You know,
Yeah.
it's really frustrating. And then of course you get stressed because you want to get to the door. And
Yeah, exactly.
the stress just seems to spiral, doesn't it? You know, from having a go woof and you're going, okay, thank you, settle down, go on your bed, to now they go on their bed and they can see this figure with a mask on, looking through the windows, anybody there, and of course it just gets worse, doesn't it? It just spirals.
Yeah, and then there's you anxious about how the hell are you going to pick up your parcel and manage to get that in the house. The stress of that as well, the whole thing.
Oh my God, they've left me with like 40 kilograms of dog food to pick up.
What to do with this? I know. How many times do I need to wash my hands while I'm putting this away?
Yeah, but it does get like that, and it's the little things. So it's the straw that breaks the camel's back, really, isn't it? It's just the stress just keeps getting added on and added on and added on and added on, and then you hit the point where you can't take anymore.
No, exactly. And I think also, I mean, I live on my own, as you know, but for families being together and partners and whatever being sort of thrown together all of the time, you know, there are arguments, because I hear them next door. There are arguments and between the kids and the parents and between the parents and all sorts of stuff. And all of that doesn't make for a very kind of normal and comfortable environment for the dog, does it? That, the dogs are observing all of that as well as all of the other strange things that are going on. As well as all of the other changes, the fact that people are around all the time and perhaps all of those routines that the dogs had, maybe going to daycare or, spending 4 or 5 hours in the house on their own, all of that's changed. People are around 24/7. The dogs probably have more exercise because people are, I'll take the dog for a walk for an hour because it's, do your hour exercise, and another family member will take the dog out. So all of those changes, they're massive, aren't they?
They are, and I can remember when Callum was young, we used to walk, had Bart, and we would walk, Bart and Angus, and I would sometimes walk him to school with the dogs, and then they would see lots of children and lots of people, and then Callum would go to school, and then I'd do the morning run back with the dogs, and so the dogs are missing out on that as well, and just people not socialising, then they're bringing the tensions home, and I feel it for these people who are having to work from home and homeschool their children as well.
Yeah.
And having that tension, those deadlines at work, and then having to make sure the young kids are working. And the dog will, regardless of how much we love with dogs, the dogs will probably get the brunt of it, because if the dog then starts mithering for attention,
so that's the last thing on the menu.
It's that last straw, isn't it? And even if you don't react negatively to the dog, your energy will be just, I'm a great lover of energy. Instead of going, oh, hello, it's like,
Yeah, no, exactly. I'll feed you already. Yeah, I'm not feeding you now. Go away. That whole kind of thing, isn't it? You had a hectic day and normally you feed the dog at 6 o'clock and you can't because the kids have been messing about, and so you do admit that, even if you don't say go away and whatever, then you do admit that energy, don't you, to say go away and leave me alone.
Yeah, and then it really builds up for the dog as well. And then when you then take the dog out because you're rushing potentially, then that can make the dog anxious, and then the dog starts feeding on your energy as well, because they pick up all the energy off us.
Yeah.
If one end of the lead is tense, then the other end of the lead gets tense, regardless if it's the dog getting tense and causing us to get stressed, or us getting stressed and causing the dog to get stressed as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. It goes both ways, doesn't it? But there's loads and loads of sort of factors that contribute at the moment, aren't there?
Yeah. I know. It's a wonder we're not all just like living on rescue remedy.
No, us and the dogs. Yeah, no, exactly.
The dogs.
But it'd be quite interesting to see how things happen, really, from sort of a behaviourist point of view, how things are in the coming months, really. So we've had all these sort of lockdown puppies that people have had. Don't know how that's going to work out, really. And also, all these changes with family dynamics and exercise regimes and everything else, how that's going to have an impact. I know we were, concerned about a massive spike of separation-related issues when people do start to go back to work or are allowed to go out for dinner or something like that. Because dogs have had a real intense relationship, or a lot of dogs had a very intense relationship with their owners that they may not have had previously.
Yeah. So do you think, moving on to separation anxiety, do you think the dogs that are generally anxious are more likely to have separation anxiety or not?
Ooh, I don't know. I need to come back to you on that. That's like a proper think, and it's like a 10-minute think, that is.
That's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah, I would probably, my first guess is not necessarily, but I may come back to you with a revised answer. But I think, not necessarily. I think a lot of it is to do with lifestyle and relationship and, possible traumas or whatever. There are lots of factors that can cause separation issues, and not necessarily in dogs that are typically anxious. Like, you see some dogs that are anxious about their own shadow, but are perfectly fine to be left on their own. There's no issue.
Well, I was going to say, it depends on what causes the anxiety, doesn't it? Because if the anxiety is being fed by the owner, and then the owner goes out, the dog might go, thank God,
Yes.
and thank God they've gone, a few, and rest, and not, because you know what it's like when we have to sometimes remove a dog from a family, and the dog thrives in a different home. Because they're feeding off the anxiety of the owner, or the owner's causing stereotypical behaviour in the dog, so pacing or chewing its paws and stuff. But I was just thinking, because Ziggy ended up with separation anxiety when he became epileptic, and so he was always really fine on his own, and then was it when he became epileptic? It was just after we lost Angus. He became very, very anxious to be left. He used to howl and scream. We didn't find out until, obviously, the neighbours told us, because you don't know until your neighbours tell you.
No.
And so that period where he was on his own for a few months, he became. And do you remember when we were teaching in Penrith? Do you remember that?
Oh, it's ringing a bit of a bell. You had to bring him in the classroom, didn't you?
I had to bring him in the classroom.
Yeah,
so he hadn't long become epileptic. It was before I had Spud, and he was epileptic. I'd lost Angus, and we were teaching, and there was a little knock on the door, wasn't there, in Penrith, and says, "Oh, one of your dogs is anxious." And Ziggy was. I mean, he was screaming. He wasn't just crying.
Yeah.
And so he was a bold, confident dog.
Yeah. I guess as well, I mean, it's, not only sort of the epilepsy probably has an effect, but also, the changing dynamics as well. Losing the other dog. And you see that, I mean, obviously that has a massive impact on dogs, doesn't it? Like it does with people, if the changing dynamics, regardless of how many dogs, if you've got 2 dogs or 4 dogs or whatever, still the dynamics change, because the presence of one of the dogs is no longer there, whatever role that dog took in that pack. It has to reshuffle, doesn't it? And I think.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think, like with rescue dogs, we see separation anxiety a lot, and I think it's because dogs are pack animals, and they need to be in a group. They're not solitary animals, are they? No. And they need to feel part of a cohesive pack. And of course, when they're put into rescue, not only are their pack's gone, they're on their own, and then they can't really form a proper social group in there. And then when they go into a new home, their drive to form a group means they bond really intensely. And if the new owners, the rescue owners feed into that because they feel bad for the dog's past and all the rest of it, then you end up with really intense over-bonding on both sides, which is very, very difficult to break once.
It is, and especially with rescue dogs as well, we bring that baggage in with them, and so we overcompensate for, if the dog just gets a natural startle, like any dog would get a startle, then people tend to overcompensate, thinking it's something bad that's happened to the dog. But most of the time, dogs are just unwanted. It's not that they've been beaten to within an inch of their life or they've been abused.
No.
It's that the dogs aren't wanted anymore.
No, and most people, well, I don't know about most people, but a lot of people that I see, they assume that the dog has been abused.
Yeah.
Because, and it may be, I mean, lots of times you see dogs that are fearful of different things simply because they haven't been socialised properly by the previous owners. They've not encountered, you know, the things that they now encounter in a different environment. They haven't been abused, they haven't been beaten, but you see fearful responses to novel stimuli because they've not encountered it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. But then you know, and people then overreact and then cause.
Yeah.
They then can cause an issue.
Yeah. And I think that's common across the board, isn't it? It's with anxiety and, you know, fears. The owners can quickly fuel the problem by responding inappropriately. I mean, we as people are designed to raise human babies, aren't we? So, and human children, whatever. And of course, our responses to them, if they were fearful, we respond the same way to our dogs, which we shouldn't do because it's not helpful. So, you know, it's very difficult when you've got a dog that's clearly fearful, it's quite difficult not to grab it and cuddle it. Say, okay, darling, don't worry, everything's fine. Then, of course, we can compound it by doing that rather than help it. Yeah,
it's really interesting because there's a thought at the minute that you can't praise fear. You can't make fear worse through praising it.
Mm-hmm.
Which you kind of go, in a dog, you really can, because you're praising the behaviour that they're displaying at that moment in time. You know, in the same way that you would praise a dog for going on its bed or whatever. I mean, I know it's slightly different because there's emotions involved, but you can praise. You're not praising the fear, you're praising the response. So if your dog displays fear and you praise it or fuss it or mollycoddle it, then you are praising the behaviour the dog is displaying at that moment in time, regardless of whether it's excitement or fear or anxiety or nervousness. You are reinforcing the behaviour that the dog, or the emotion, the behaviour. Can you hear Spud? He's off.
Yes, yeah.
Postman. It's a really irritating bark, isn't it?
Yes, at least it means you've got an exciting pass. No, it isn't irritating. No, the smaller the dog, the more in the bark, typically, isn't it?
I like big angry. I can't keep telling them off. I don't know if you can hear them going, dogs, that's enough.
Yeah, shut up.
No, that comes if they keep barking. No, they're supposed to go and sit. What we do is we open the sitting room door, because the sitting room door is closed. We open the sitting room door and the dogs have to go and sit just inside the sitting room door on the carpet, where we then open, they call it the vestibule up here, when we open the porch door and then open the front door. The dogs are supposed to be sitting behind me, watching. And so if the sitting room door isn't open, which is what happened, the sitting room door wasn't open, so Bud was, nearly called him Bart, Spud was going, open the door, let me in, open the door.
Yeah. Oh, no.
So, and anyway, that's how I believe it works, you know, that we, when we praise and reward, we are praising and rewarding the behaviour that's being offered at that moment in time. And if it's fear, and we praise and reward the fear, then that will be offered again in that circumstance.
Yeah, and I also think that dogs can perceive our reassurance as also kind of insecurity as well. So, you know, we're worried about whatever it is they're worried about, and none of us are sure about how to cope with it. But equally, I think it's the nuances of what we do that's important. So, you know, people say we should ignore the dog if it's fearful, or you should, you know, or you should praise it because it doesn't have an effect or whatever. But it's like anything, isn't it? It's not a black and white, do this, do that.
No.
It's, you know, there are ifs and buts sometimes. You know, if your dog's panting and you tell it to lay down on its bed and it sort of reduces panting, then saying good boy, you can't, you know, it's kind of helping it, but you're not saying good boy for pacing around the lounge and, you know, do you know what I mean? It's horses for courses, and it's about reading the dog and knowing what to do and at what time to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, and that comes through experience. But you know, when you're working with inexperienced people and inexperienced owners, then it's much easier to say, if you
Yes, give them a black and white.
yeah, if your dog's anxious, don't make a fuss of them. You can put a hand on them, but not necessarily stroke them and praise them. And so you have, because you can't then say, well, if your dog's a little bit anxious,
No.
it's doing this, do that, or do this, or do this, or do that. But if it's doing that, then you need to do that. But if it's doing that, then don't give it food. But when it does this, give it food. And you can't, you know, it's just like completely mind blowing. So you have to be very black and white.
No, I agree. And yes, you do with clients. And I mean, I've seen lots of dogs with sort of really bizarre, like extreme phobias, like Staffordshire Bull Terriers. I see quite a lot for phobic responses and stuff. And a lot of those the dogs that I've seen, when they have a reaction to whatever causes the phobia, whether that's fireworks or thunder or opening a bottle of wine, you know, corks, all sorts of weird things dogs respond to. A lot of them try to either bury themselves, you know, dig a hole, you know, dig the carpet or dig the kids' toy, bury themselves in it, or throw themselves at the window and just to get out of there. Like the most extreme kind of responses, because obviously in nature, if you have a traumatic event,
You run away.
Run away and do not go back to that place that causes the trauma. Whereas now we have to, you know, if you have a traumatic event in the kitchen, whether that's you smash a plate or, you know, there's thunder, clap, whatever it happens to be, we keep forcing the dog to go back into the kitchen, back into the kitchen, back into the kitchen, where that original trauma happened, don't we? Which again seems to compound it.
It does. And I mean, I know with humans, and you can say this with dogs as well. You know, the fight flight response. So we've got fight flight, freeze or fawn. So we either
and there's another. No, there's a no. Do carry on.
No, go on.
No, there's no. I was wondering what you say. The fourth F sometimes is something else, but we'll go with
fluff about. Fluff about.
That's it. Fluff about.
That's there's fight or flight, which we do. So we either run away, so throw ourselves against the window and try and get away. We stand our ground, fight, flight, freeze, which is when the dog's just completely shut down, and then we've got fuff about.
Yeah.
And then we've also got fawn, you know, where they start becoming very grovelly and fawny. And so, like with people, you see the fawning response in relationships where there's a lot of fear involved, you know, where, and I'm going to use a man and a woman because that's the first thing that sprung to mind. You know, if you've got a dominant man or a man who is very demanding, then the partner can become very fawning because they're frightened.
Yeah.
So they can't do enough for the person because there's fear there. And that's another one. And you see it sometimes with dogs as well, when people get very spiky in that energy or very bullish, you know, where they're going around slamming doors and throwing things around, and then the dog's very fawning and very grovelling. They're not frightened, they're not displaying overt fear, and they're not being deferential, they're being very fawning.
Yeah, I think it's like appeasement, isn't it? That whole kind of, you know, am I okay? You know, that
it is. It's appeasement, but it's appeasement coming from fear rather than you know, a coming together of a pack. So like when the pack comes together, whether it's wolves or dogs or wild dogs or whatever, when the pack comes together, there's a lot of appeasement takes place where a lower ranking animal will come in very low. So they'll come in, the front end is dipped. I'm trying to describe it for people who are listening. So they come in with the front end dipped, and then the head comes up and they start licking around the face, don't they? Sucking on jaws and stuff. God, I can remember a wolf sucking on my jaw, which was amazing. But, you know, they start sucking on the jaw, and that's appeasement from joy of a coming back of the pack, a regathering of the pack. Whereas appeasement with fear, that's fear driven is really different. It manifests itself very similar. So they come in a very appeasement body language and very fawning, but it comes more from fear rather than the coming together of the pack. Does that make sense? Did that make sense?
Made complete sense. I had a client FaceTime the other day with husband and wife that was kind of like that, but in reverse of the way that you described it. The female was quite
dominant,
quite sure of what was true and what wasn't, and her husband, oh, sorry, yes, I got that wrong then. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yes, yeah. Would you like a cup of tea?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, sorry, I thought that's what it was. Obviously, I was wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. You see that, like, so. What would you say for everybody is the difference between fear and anxiety?
Fear and anxiety.
What's the difference between them? I haven't primed you beforehand. I didn't say I was going to ask you this question, so
I think probably fear is probably something tangible. So fearful of
a thing.
Of a dog, yes, a thing. Fearful of something, whereas anxiety is, I guess, fear of an event, I suppose, or a situation. It's very difficult to describe, isn't it? I think I could probably write it better than I can think on my feet. But
it is difficult because when people are generally anxious, it's the stuff in the head, the tick, 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 what if, and then they get very anxious, and then they start having a build up of the cortisol, the stress hormone, start building that up. But when it's fear, it's something very specific.
Yeah,
like
it's almost like
I'm doing this, I'm frightened of doing that, I'm frightened that's going to happen. And
it's almost like a quick hit, isn't it? Like there's an event, there's a thing that hits you now, and you're fearful, you're frightened. Whereas the anxiety, like you said, is not the thing; it's the event that is occurring or may occur.
Yeah, it's the build-up, isn't it? So, and I think with dogs, when dogs become anxious, I think a lot of the time is because they've never been allowed to let go of the stress, and so the stress levels just build up, and then they start living at a state of high alert rather than being allowed just to dissipate all of the stress and the stress hormones and the chemicals in the brain and just let them go. There's never a point of letting go. It's just building up and building up and building up.
Yeah.
And it can be where it's kind of a concatenation of things. So maybe they go out and the car backfires, and then they go a little bit further and there's a cross scarer, and then they go a little bit further and there's a door slam. And so the dog's completely on high alert. It's not come down from any one particular event.
No, exactly. And also, dogs with separation anxiety issues, they don't know when you're going to leave, do they? You know what I mean? You could pick up your car keys at any minute and shoot out the door, couldn't you? So there's never that constant, other than probably at night when most people are in a consistent routine whereby when they come in, they go to bed, they turn the lights off, and then the dogs can rest until the morning. But other than that, you might be popping to the shop, you might, going to take the kids somewhere, whatever. So of course the dog's forever looking and waiting for those triggers, those kind of never-ending triggers that they've learned, whether that's putting shoes on, opening the cupboard door, getting your driving gloves out, whatever it is. Yeah. The dog has learned all of these things that create that anxiety because you're going.
Yeah. And then phobias are fear from an unknown cause, aren't they? You just, it's an irrational.
Yeah. An intense irrational fear.
Yeah. Intense irrational fear. And so with us, phobia is just development. It's a phobia, you can't talk somebody down from phobia. I mean, the stuff you can do with NLP and CBT and stuff, but you can't generally talk somebody down normally by saying it's okay. It's only a spider. Oh,
I mean, in humans, it's definitely intense and definitely irrational. So, like, I've got, I would say, a phobia of birds. And I know that that's irrational. Bird is not going to hurt me. It's not going to kill me. It's not going to peck my eyes out. No, but I'm frightened. I don't like them. I don't. If a bird came in the room now, I would have to. I'd have to get out.
Yes.
It freaks me out. I don't like it. It's horrible. And you saying, well, birds are fine, that it won't hurt you, is completely irrelevant.
Yeah, well, it doesn't get to. Alfred Hitchcock's got a lot of hand stuff up.
Yeah, well, so is my mum. I think the bird came down the chimney one day and she freaked out, and I think it was kind of rubbed off. I think early learning that birds are bad.
I mean, I had I don't think it was a phobia. I think it was more of a fear of bees. Fat, the big fat black bumblebees.
Yeah.
Like, can you remember one? I must have been 6 or 7, and one landed on my chest, and my next door neighbour freaked out, and she came over and she was like waving her arms around like this and trying to get it off me, and completely freaked me out, and it made me really, really frightened of bees. And
it's interesting you say that, because it's often the attitude of other people that impact, on your experience, isn't it? So, I see lots of people, and have done over the years, when they see a wasp. I mean, being stung by a wasp is horrible, isn't it? It's painful.
I've never been stung. Touch wood.
No, I was last summer. It's quite sore for a while, but I've got over it, obviously. But now a lot of people really freak out. So you're sitting outside in the summer in the pub garden or whatever, and all of a sudden someone will scream and leg it away from you at the table. And you're like,
that was me. I'd be up and gone.
Yeah, and if you're learning that, I mean, wasps don't particularly bother me, but if you're learning that and you're observing that growing up, as those experiences have a massive impact, and you just learn, oh my God, if a wasp comes near the table, we need to shift and get out of here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's those things that plant the seed in your head, and the seed that continues to grow with experience, isn't it? It's just...
Because we humans are only born with 2 fears, which is fear of falling and fear of loud noises, and everything else is a learned response.
Yeah.
They are the 2 things we are born frightened of. They're intrinsic. They are there when we are born. Everything else is learned.
And I think fears and fears have their place, obviously. If we were frightened of nothing, that would be stupid, wouldn't it? But fears and phobias, I find, in people and dogs, are the hardest things to work with, really, the hardest things to resolve, including separation anxiety, really. That all of those things, those anxieties, are very difficult to resolve, or harder than lots of other issues.
I think they are. I think with the separation anxiety, it's finding the trigger, isn't it, which is the hard thing, and changing the routine so that the trigger is either removed or diminished, and then you're replacing it with a positive trigger, like a stuffed Kong, or a stuffed bone or something, and leaving the dogs with the warm and fuzzy and building up the time. With fear, it's a learned behaviour, so it's about stopping the fear response and training a new behaviour.
Yeah.
Giving them a new learned behaviour, instead of having a fear response, give them a different response.
Yeah. I think people also underestimate the impact that that we can have, that our relationship with the dog can have on the resolution of phobic behaviours. I mean, I saw a client a few weeks ago, well, before lockdown, so a few months, wasn't it? With a nice white shepherd that was phobic of walking, so would go a certain distance and then stop. It might go down that street on the left, but it definitely won't go down that street on the right. All of those, and I went to see them, and we went for a walk, and we managed to, I held the lead and went a little bit ahead. We managed to get for a walk to the park where we were going, just through using sort of little techniques, really. She was saying that when her brother visits, the dog will go for a walk with him wherever. Yeah. And we were trying to work out what the trigger was for the reluctance to walk and all the rest of it, which was probably just some kind of traumatic event with traffic or something. It doesn't even need to be massive, does it? It's just how the dog perceives it. Doesn't have to be, lightning bolt hitting them. It just could be a beer flowing down the street, whatever. But so we put in place like some feeding routines and things to create some more positive experience to get the dog kind of moving. But the largest part in the resolution was the owners kind of direction and guidance with the dog. And once the dog kind of trusted her and followed her, so, oh, cool, okay, then we're fine. Yeah. And but getting owners to change is the difficult part. But I think that definitely played the larger part in getting this dog back to the park and walking happily and nicely again.
Yeah, it is. And I've worked with lots of women with aggressive dogs, the way I would get them to just do a little mantra in their head to try and change their physiology, because, you know, I do like all the empowerment stuff, and so I would get them to say over and over again out loud, I'm a goddess with a dog. And so before you know it, they're standing up nice and tall and the shoulders are back, and you change if you change somebody's posture, you'll change their physiology, and you'll change their blood chemistry, you'll change their brain chemistry, and then before you know it, the person is a completely different person because they've changed their chemistry. And then the dog will pick up with that, and they'll pick up with the energy coming off them and just the whole demeanour of the person. And it's massive. And so when we're working with dogs, we need to always make sure that our energy is really good. And if we're working with fear especially, we can very quickly change our physiology. And the dog will pick up on that, which is great. And what was I going to say to you? No, it's gone.
No, I mean, it does. I mean, no, it has a huge effect, but it's quite difficult for me. I mean, I find it easier. I think it's much easier for dogs to overcome phobias than it is for people, because they can push through it and have that. With dogs, the positive experiences or the neutral experiences seem to work. So if the dog has positive experiences where they were negative, seems to override the negative, and with repetition then that becomes, you know, more positive and we get back to normal. Whereas people, you know, it's very difficult. Even positive repetition of doing something doesn't remove the phobia. Do you know what I mean? So if you find the tube, if you go on the tube every day, it doesn't seem that repetition, even though nothing happens, it was fine, you didn't get mugged. Yes, it doesn't help. It fuels it, doesn't it?
But that's because our brains are slightly different, you know, with us and our big lovely frontal lobe, which allows us to think about the future and plan and visualization. The dogs don't have that. And then we've also got the reasoning, which dogs don't have. And we've got the self-talk, which the dogs don't have, and we've got all of these lovely communication centers in the brain that dogs don't have, and we can very easily take stuff from the past and just chew it over. You know, dog hasn't got the brain capacity to sit there and go, oh well, I remember when I was in the litter and there was another 5 of us and we used to fight over the best teat, and you know, they haven't got that brain capacity that we have. And that's the issue that we have for letting go of stuff, where animals are amazing. They can just let, as you say, through repetition, positive repetition, or even a neutral repetition, then that can help them get over things much quicker than we can, because we've got the self-talk, we've got, what's it called, we've got the watcher, we've got the third person in my head, you know, we've got us doing it, and then us giving that running commentary on us doing it. Got that voice there.
No, I know. No, it's much easier if we do the right thing with dogs. It's easier. But as we just said, people overlook the value of like neutral experiences. It doesn't have to be positive, but it mustn't be negative. It
mustn't be negative.
I mean, I talk about this all the time when we're starting working with dogs that are aggressive to other dogs through fear. And like, I'll stand there at, you know, a slight distance with one of my dogs and talk to them. Their dog isn't injured, hasn't had a horrible experience. It just stands there next to another dog, and then we leave. So that's a positive. It's a neutral experience. The dog isn't playing and loving other dogs, but there's nothing damaging that's occurred. So therefore, next time we can start to build on those positive experiences, or the neutral experiences that lead to positive experiences.
Absolutely. And so by making it neutral, you're actually doing it in the way that dogs learn. So if nothing bad happens, it must be the right thing to be. you know, if something in relation to consequences, if nothing bad happens, the dog doesn't get told off for doing something, then it is obviously an acceptable way to behave.
Yeah.
And when you start bringing in like really high energy, regardless of whether that's going, yeah, good dog, you're amazing, or whether it's giving them a food reward or anything that just takes the energy up a notch from neutral, it's hitting the adrenaline.
Yeah.
You know, so then you run the risk of going too far the other way, and instead of calming the dog down, you end up spiking the energy and then ending up with a bouncy dog as well as the dog that's not very good with other dogs. And,
and you create an abnormal, through your behaviour, you create this abnormal response to something that's normal and make a thing whether it's not a thing. Do you know what I mean? It's, you hear lots of people say, well, should I praise the dog when he does it? I'm like, no, he walked through the front door. It's just a door. He just walked past the dog. It's just another dog. You know, that's all it is.
We want the dog to be as natural and laid back as possible. We don't want it to go down the street and go, oh my God, it's a dog, it's a dog. I've just deafened everybody. Oh my God, it's a dog, it's a dog. And you can, oh my God, it's a dog, it's a dog.
You can highlight things, can't you? If you walk past another dog and you're like, oh my God, that's so good. The dog's like, what should I have been doing? What's happened?
I know.
You know, kind of, you make a thing of it, which is, you know, it's like, it makes me laugh when people then they're toilet training their puppies. I mean, I tend to, when my puppies go for a wee, I tend to put a command to it, like go toilet. That is mine. A very original command. Go toilet.
Yeah, I go, hurry up.
Yeah.
Hurry up, it's raining.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I say go toilet. And then, you know, I put a gentle little bit of praise, but I don't go bonkers because it just had a wee. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, through how we manage the puppy in the house, hopefully their wees are outside and not inside, but gentle praise. You see people going bonkers and they've got treats. And because they do that, then the dog stops weeing. It's just freak the dog out. It's, oh God, what's going on? And I find that quite strange. But yeah, it makes
get them back in that crate quick, and then give them a treat for going back in that crate and off for weeing.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, it's not a big thing. It just had a wee. It's quite a normal, natural thing. It just happens that it did it in the right place.
It is funny. It is funny. Oh, it is funny. We've kind of gone a full circle, haven't we? Again. Did we actually talk about fear and phobia?
I think we mentioned a bit, didn't we? Well, we talked about my fear of birds and my fear of people in face masks.
Oh my God, I got one of the girls I know does these bamboo bras. Well, they're not bamboo, like, you know, made out of the material, it's bamboo material.
I had in my head.
Not Madonna bras.
You know, Madonna, yeah.
They're not Madonna bras, they're bras made out of material made out of bamboo. So that
I've got bamboo socks.
Sorry?
I've got bamboo socks.
Yeah, like bamboo socks. Yeah. And she started doing, they look like buffs, you know, the face masks with buffs.
Yeah.
And so they're antibacterial and they're really good. And so I haven't got it in here, otherwise I would put it on and show you. I can't remember what it's called, the Scottish something or other. They personalise them. So I have got a black bamboo like buff with the pet gun dog embroidered on it.
Well, I think you can say you had your name right across the front. Oh, you've got the pet gun dog. Oh my God.
I've got 2 Labradors with the pet gun dog on it. And Kenny says, I don't know, there's pandemic, capitalism.
Oh my God. Oh God! Well, hopefully you can keep that for years to come as a reminder of this horrible situation.
Well, it'll be great for the winter to wear it as a buff because it's like super soft.
Yes.
It's double thickness, super soft bamboo, antibacterial, breathable, and I'll just wear it as a buff in the winter. It'll be lovely. Yeah.
I'm not sure it'll bring you any customers, but you can, keep you warm, won't it?
It'll keep me warm. I just thought it was quite novel. It's got pet gun dog on it.
Yeah.
Bit of branding.
Oh, God. No, that's really cool, actually, isn't it? I went mad. I bought, at the beginning of lockdown, I bought a mask, like a proper like a muzzle really, but I haven't worn it. But
Can you poke
no,
through it?
it's not branded. Yeah, yeah. Stuff some peanut butter through it on your finger.
Oh my God, have you seen? Oh, you sent it to me, didn't you? The guy who lost part of his face.
Oh God, I know.
That was dreadful. So if you anybody who's listening or watching who doesn't know, at the beginning of lockdown, there was this thing that went around social media, and it was if you're cutting your dog's nails, wrap some cling film around your head and then smear peanut butter across your forehead on the cling film. And then what will happen is the dog will lick your forehead while you're cutting its nails, you see, so it distracts the dog. But it wasn't very well thought out, because all that happens is you cut the dog too close to the quick, the dog goes ouch, snaps, and it's already at your face and takes your nose off. And that's pretty much what happened with that picture you sent me, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's awful. I mean, you never quite know what you see on social media, whether it's true or not true, do you? But I mean, I think that really is a silly thing to do. I mean, my general rule of thumb is keep your face as far away from your dog as you can. You know, we see, as you know, we've spoken about dog safety previously in the podcast, so I won't go there again, but we do see some horrific examples of people stupidity and just putting themselves in crazy situations that are just, yeah, really detrimental to the dog's well-being and also their own physical well-being.
It is madness.
It is madness. But, you know, that's what makes the world go round, isn't it? All these different people.
It does. Like your little globe thing, you can bring it back now.
Yeah, I'll bring that back now, yeah.
Back now. Ross, it's been an absolute pleasure, as always.
Yeah, no, good fun. Nice way to spend the afternoon. It's raining outside, so...
Yeah, no, it's been great. And we'll have to have a think about what we are gonna have a chat about next time.
Yes, maybe we'll try and keep it on track next time, shall
we? Yes. Yeah, we will. No, it's been great. Thank you so much for taking an hour and a bit out to talk to me about lots of different things. It's been great.
No, cool. That's been a pleasure. So now I'm off to do my client FaceTime.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, you do that. I've got to go and order some awards for my new instructors, who will be instructors by the time this comes out.
Oh, brilliant.
So I have to go and, yeah, they're all... I've got five new instructors qualifying in 2 weeks' time. I get the dissertations in on Friday. So they've got this massive dissertation to do, and they've got a big demo to do as well. So they come in on Friday and they'll get their awards, which is lovely.
Oh, wow. A lot of reading to do on Friday then.
Friday's going to be a good day. I'm going to have lots of frothy coffees beside me, and I'll be sitting... Yes. It's good, actually. It's lovely. I get really emotional. I get really emotional, really cheerful.
Yeah, it's the finished product, isn't it? The end result. You know, everybody's effort and hard work, and it's quite nice, I imagine, and I certainly find that you almost see your words and stuff coming back at you. Do you know what I mean? It's quite nice that, you know, people have learned and taken on board what you do, what you think, and the methods that you use. So it's cool.
It is, it's lovely. So Friday will be emotional.
Oh,
It'll be lovely.
Emotional
just thinking about it.
You could wear your hideous face mask, and your tears would just drip into that, won't they?
Yeah, but then what I do forget my coffee. Quick, intravenous coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, Ross, it's been great. I shall catch up with you again soon.
Yeah, okay, you take care.
I'll be back in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, okay. See you soon then.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.